Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Redington virtual session. Today's topic we have from MobileIron UEM, which is Secure Remote Access. The topic will be delivered by our pre-sales consultant, Mohan Kumar. In case you have any questions during the session, I would request you to please put them in the Q&A tab, and Mohan will address the questions towards the end of the session. Mohan, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Today we're going to see how to give secure access to the corporate data to your users accessing from outside. So MobileIron, here we are talking about three main operating systems. One is iOS, Android, and Windows. The reason for MobileIron, we have a centralized policy engine, and you have a single page of class for managing all operating system and configuring different policies for different operating system and different types of user groups under a single window. And everyone traditionally using laptops connecting to your on-prem data center, now moving over to using mobile devices like phones and tablets and accessing resources not only on-prem but also in the cloud. So MobileIron, it's a single platform help you to control both the places where either you have resources on the cloud or resources on-prem, or even if the user is having a laptop or mobile devices like phones or tablets. So when we talk about MobileIron, they have more than 15,000 plus customers all over the globe, and they are almost leader in 7 years in quadrant. They have 53 patents, and they have industry trusted certificates like FIPS 142, FedRAMP, US Privacy Shield, CSFC. Yeah, so this is the idea of why people are moving to go for an UEM. So traditionally, everyone have their on-prem data center with their perimeter firewall, and someone wanted to access their network resources or any corporate data. They need to have a VPN configured, and through VPN, they'll have to connect internally to the servers and access their network. So with MobileIron, you have either data on the cloud or on the prem, and you need to control whether the user can use the company-owned devices or the user can use his own devices like mobile phones or tablets. So the IT has to enforce more policies and to make sure the users are the right users are accessing the right data, and they'll have to protect or make sure the device which is used to access the data, it's like secure enough. And this is the high level architecture of MobileIron. So we have let me pull up my pointer. We have two main servers, UEM console and Sentry on the DMZ. So this UEM console can be an on-prem server or this can be on the cloud. Sentry, it's on-prem, so it can be used to connect your backend resources. UEM console is the heart of the solution where you'll manage the policies, the devices, configuration, the user groups, and everything. And Sentry, it's just a gateway. After getting authorized with the UEM console, it will give secure access to the backend resources. See, on the device, you'll see orange box, which is a logical container. So whenever a device is registered or onboarded on MobileIron, a logical container will be created, and anything happens within the container stays inside the container. So even if any malicious app is present in the device, and if the app is trying to read any data from other application installed on the same device, it cannot even breach into the apps within the container since it is encrypted. And you have these application from the MobileIron. I'll give you a brief intro of each application. This is the UEM client or agent, and which will get in touch with the core or the UEM console for device sync or any policies being pushed. And this UEM client will make sure the complaints or policies sent by the admin, it's there on the device. And this is the enterprise app store, so where the admin can push in-house application or even pull application from public app store, from Google Play or iTunes App Store. And this is a secure email plus, docs at work, secure email plus. All these are app or by default AppConnect. So I'll tell you the difference between AppConnect apps and the third-party apps in the coming slides. So this is a secure email plus, docs at work. Docs at work serves two purposes for Android. So for iOS has a capability to open any attachment from the email, whether it is a PDF or Office files. But Android, it's not. So you need to have a document viewer. So one of the purpose of Docs at Work is to open the attachment securely within the container, and the other user is to connect to your backend resources, whether it is a local file share server or a SharePoint, or even if it is a cloud resource. And this is the secure browser web at work, and this is the help at work, which is nothing but a licensed stream viewer, so that admin can take remote view and remote action on iOS and Android devices. This is the tunnel. So today agenda, we're going to talk more on tunnel and how we can make use of the tunnel to help the remote users connecting to our backend resources. And this is the authenticator. So if you notice, there is something called Access. Access is just a platform which uses to connect resources on the cloud like SAP, Salesforce, or Office 365. So this is a brief overview, and if you have any questions, you can always put it in the Q&A. I'll try my best to answer at the end of the session. So this is the quick view of the UEM AppConnect apps: Email Plus, Docs at Work, Web at Work, and Help at Work. So when I talk about AppConnect, it's a SDK from MobileIron. So where it can be enforced, or you can use it on your in-house developed app for iOS and Android. So there is a SDK available for iOS and Android. So where the developer can use this wrapper, whether it is an online tool or offline tool, wrap it over their application, then resign it, then publish into their enterprise app store. So this is the life cycle. So how in-house application can make it as an AppConnect enabled. The reason we are making an app as an AppConnect enabled to have a DLP feature. With AppConnect enabled, you will have control over the copy, paste, or even any attachment or any open-in control. You can always restrict that. So this you can restrict, like anything happens inside a container, stays inside the container. For an example, if you copy anything within this application, can be pasted within the containerized third-party or containerized application. And you can also have a secure passcode for that app, and you can have blocking screen capture for Android and print for iOS. And we have something called Space. Space is admin delegation, where you can, for an example, you have one head office in UAE and couple of branches in across Middle East. So you can define spaces for each regions. And if you have a marketing team common for all the regions, so there will be a separate marketing space created. So the reason behind is each space will have their own admins, and each space will have their own set of configuration policies and set of user groups and devices. Apart from this, under each spaces, you can always link with your LDAP groups, so that you can have distributed within your regions. For an example, you might have a couple of groups under APAC region. You might have a finance group, IT group, and sales group. So you can have those LDAP group within each spaces. So Apps at Work, it's an enterprise app store. So this will be used to publish your in-house application. You don't have to publish the in-house application to their respective public app store. You can always wrap it, or even without wrapping it, you can publish through the enterprise app store. You can also pull application from publicly available apps. So this is how it looks in the iOS, Android, and Windows mobiles. So you can get app like Cisco WebEx, Salesforce from the public app store and make it available to the user. So once you pull application from the app store, it will be considered as a managed app. So when the user, you have an option when the user retires or user Like if you have compliance policy which is not met, you can always remove those applications which are pushed from MobileIron. Docs at work, like I mentioned, so it is a centralized repository where user can access to their backend resources, file servers, or SharePoint, or even the cloud resources. So this will be like you'll have a DLP features. You cannot copy content, you cannot move the attachment to a third party WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. Web at Work, it's a secure browser from MobileIron. It's like Chrome or Safari, but for accessing any web-based application, backend web-based application, Web at Work, you can use Web at Work to connect securely. So the reason you have is like you have per app VPN tunnel. For example, if you have multiple application which requires a different set of network configuration, we can have multiple VPN configuration to push to work for each application. And you have data containerization, and you have role-based content based on the role or the LDAP group. You can push the configurations, and you have native web technologies. And you can also have a secure passcode for opening a web at work. So any link present in the web at work, it will be securely opened within the containerized application. You can also have control over this, like blocking copy, paste, or mail link, blocking the message, or even blocking the bookmark. And you can always have a compliance policy saying if the device is jailbroken, they cannot have access to their backend resources. So you can have a couple of compliance policies saying if it is jailbroken, or if MDM profile is uninstalled in case of iOS, and the data protection is disabled in case of Android, and if the device is not even reaching the core or the EM console for X number of days, then you can automatically revoke access to the corporate data. And you can also have a list of whitelisted app and a blacklisted app. So it will check if any of the blacklisted app is installed on the device. There are a couple of action you can take. You can either alert the user saying like there is a unauthorized app installed, to requesting the user to remove the unauthorized app to proceed continue using your corporate resource. Or simply, if any unauthorized app is installed, it's detected, automatically you can block access to the Sentry, which means the user cannot able to access anything behind Sentry. Email Plus, it's look like a native app experience, and you have the DLP features and infos. You cannot copy, paste, or even screenshots. You have a separate contacts, calendars, and tasks within the same Email Plus. So this is how it works in the Android. You have the email, you have the contacts, calendars, and tasks, and you have a separate, like all other AppConnect, you have a separate passcode application, and you have independent encryption, and you have copy paste blocked. And this is Tunnel. Tunnel, it works for iOS, Android, and Windows. The main reason for using Tunnel is for the third-party application. When an app is wrapped, or if it is AppConnect, by default it will reach the Sentry. Okay, so what we can do if it's a third-party application and if it is not wrapped? So in that case, Tunnel, we can make Tunnel as a per app VPN. So the moment the app is triggered, automatically the Tunnel will be opened and connect to the backend resources. And Tunnel also have a single sign-on. For an example, if you receive an email on your native email, and there is the link to your corporate SharePoint or corporate net application, and which requires authentication. So Tunnel can be integrated with the Kerberos Proxy. So once a user clicks on the link, automatically it will open either the Safari browser or Web at Work. If it is a Web at Work, you don't need to have a Tunnel. Or if it is opening in a Safari, automatically the VPN will be triggered, and through a Kerberos Proxy enables, it will have the single sign-on, and automatically it will let the user get inside the SharePoint without even asking for the credential. And we have a granular control. So admin can able to allow or deny access to a particular destination on the Sentry. So Sentry will always check whether the device is authorized or authenticated to view the corporate resources in the backend. And with the it can also mention which application to be allowed and which application not to be allowed. So for an example, you have two public application, Cisco Jabber or Microsoft Power BI. So both you can connect to your backend resources. So here you can manage like which application need to reach which backend server, and which application, if the traffic is coming, you want to block it. You can always do it on the Sentry level, and you can also have a finer granular control on the applications. So this is how traditionally, this is how people used to connect to the backend resources. They'll have a traditional VPN, and this VPN will take them to the backend resources. Now we are talking about the mobile users. So the VPN, how it works on the desktop, it's totally different from VPN working on the mobile devices. So that is where tunnel comes in place. So you need to differentiate between which traffic goes to the VPN and which traffic goes to the internet. So to do that, and there is also a malicious application which might also try to connect to the internet. At the same time, it might also connect to your backend resources. So the admin has to have more control to have a secure access to the backend resources. So the approach we are taking is we'll have to check the device posture and who is accessing which data at which application is trying to reach the backend resources. So this will the MobileIron UEM policy manager will check like if the device is not jailbroken and the MDM profile is installed, data protection enabled, and only authorized applications are installed, and the device is getting the required policies and compliance check in place, then it will allow access to the backend resources. So for an example, this is an AppConnect app, and to have an AppConnect app, the EEM code will check whether the device is from the secure or secure user, and then it will give access to the backend resources. What happens if it is a third-party application? So that comes the tunnel. So tunnel centric code will check the device's authenticity and let the third-party application connect backend server securely using the tunnel. So this is if we talk about AppConnect enabled apps, it will be much limited. So MobileIron has a couple of applications like browser, email application, and the document handler. And apart from this, any nose application can be made as AppConnect apps, which can connect to the Sentry automatically. So there are n number of third-party application which might also require access securely to the backend server. So those can be connected to your backend server using the tunnel. So as an end user experience, so all they have to do is simply open the app. So once the device is managed, there will be a logical container created. So anything inside the logical container will connect to the Sentry. And if it is an AppConnect enabled app, there is no need of tunnel, and it automatically goes to the Sentry and connect to the backend resources. If it is a third-party app, per app VPN will be triggered and it will connect to the backend resources. If the same can be achieved with the traditional VPN, they'll have to click on the native email and they'll have to start the VPN and they'll have to enter the passcode. And if it's a two-factor, they'll have to get authenticated with the two-factor passcode. And based on what access control policy it's been set, then they'll get access to their whatever access they have. But with the MobileIron Tunnel, if you simply receive a URL in the email, you just click on it, it will trigger the VPN tunnel automatically. And using the Kerberos Proxy, it will let you automatically log into the SharePoint or any application which is configured. And this is, by the way, using the Safari. Even the Safari can be made as a managed application using Tunnel. So only the authorized. So this is because of the per app VPN. The VPN is configured in such a way, it's like the moment someone accesses SharePoint from the native app or Email Plus app, the tunnel should be triggered with Kerberos authentication, then let the access. So you can have multiple per app VPN. So for example, SharePoint uses a particular tunnel configuration. So when the particular URL is initiated or clicked, this particular VPN will be initiated, and the Kerberos Proxy SSO will be authenticated, then take you back to the backend resources. So you can have multiple VPN configuration for your multiple applications. how the tunnel works. So from a user perspective, they simply have to download tunnel from the app store, or it can be pushed from the MobileIron automatically, and they'll have to simply launch the tunnel, activate it, and there are two ways. Either the user can do it manually, or you can have a automatic trigger. So we can create app trigger policies. So when a particular app is open, the tunnel will be automatically initiated, and the VPN will be used only for the traffic coming from the particular application, not for the other traffic. For an example, they have a Safari, and they are using Safari for accessing SharePoint, and they are also accessing Facebook at the same time. So whenever they open Facebook traffic doesn't go to the tunnel. It will take the direct internet connection. So when the SharePoint it's accessed, it will trigger tunnel, and the tunnel traffic will go through the Sentry. And this is the tunnel architecture. So this is a manage tab. Like I said, the manage tab will check the authenticity with the core, whether the policies, configuration, components, everything is met. Then it will give access to the Sentry. Once Sentry gets approval from the core or VM console, it will allow access to the backend resources. So we have this manage tab, and we have a third-party app. So the manage tab, VM client will check with the core and give access to the Sentry, and tunnel will be triggered for the third-party applications. And for SSO, this is how it works. So the moment the app is triggered, it will check with the Kerberos Proxy server and then get it authenticated, and it will give the password for the application which is accessing, and then the SSO will be triggered for the per app VPN and give access to the backend server. So what is the different from the traditional VPN and MobileIron AppConnect and MobileIron Tunnel? So MobileIron authorization of app will be done by both AppConnect and the Tunnel, and DLP you'll get only within the AppConnect application. Tunnel, you can still have a limited feature, but you cannot enforce DLP on the third-party application. And single sign-on can be only done on the AppConnect apps. Per app VPN for the same AppConnect apps. To make a AppConnect, like I mentioned, you'll have to use the wrapping and the whole AppConnect lifecycle. And iOS and Android are the supported AppConnect apps. And Tunnel is for iOS managed app and third-party app. And if you have a traditional VPN, you cannot use any of these features. You cannot have DLP features. You cannot have single sign-on. You cannot have per app VPN access for each VPN to have a different VPN. And if we are, this is a secure browser from MobileIron Web at Work. This is the difference between Web at Work and the Safari, which is using Tunnel. So you'll have an encrypted browser data cache, history, and cookies on the Web at Work. With the Safari, you will miss this. You will only have a secure access to the backend server. And you have a selective wipe for browser based on device exposure on the Web at Work. And you can enforce a separate passcode for opening Web at Work, and you can enforce DLP, copy paste, and open in attachment in the Web at Work. And URL whitelisting, blacklisting, you can have it on both Tunnel as well as Tunnel to Safari as well as Web at Work. And bookmarks, you can always push it as a Web at Work configuration, and you can have single sign-on for both Tunnel and Web at Work. And based on compliance policy, you can always have a device level policy set for both Tunnel as well as Web at Work. So this is the last test for today. This is a mobile threat defense. I'll just give a short brief on threat defense. Threat defense, it's nothing but securing your giving access, corporate sensitive data access to the users from outside using their own devices. So you need to ensure the device is secure. So MTD is the one which will help you on that. So we have a couple of threats when a user connects to a malicious or untrusted Wi-Fi, or if the user is trying to sideload any application, they might need to install any profile, or for an example, a VPN app requires a profiles to be installed on iOS device. And this profile might have a capability of reading data, or to a remote server, or someone tried to grab any data, or so all these things you'll have to, the IT admin has to ensure the device is like secure enough to reach your corporate resources. And this MobileIron has is the only vendor who has MTD within a single client. So this MTD will be embedded in the same UEM client. So there is no separate app. It's a single app, and any threat or any malicious thing happening on the mobile, the remediation will happens on the device itself. Even the mobile is not connecting to the cloud or MTD server, it doesn't wait for to get the signature for to do the remediation action. So everything happens offline, and you have a separate management console for managing the threats. So this is a brief. We have a separate session for MTD, so we can cover in much more detail about MTD in that session. So, summarizing, so MobileIron has securing the data at rest, data in motion, and also securing the cloud services. So we have on-prem core and cloud UEM console, and the data in motion is secured by the MobileIron Tunnel as well as the Sentry. So this is it for today. If you have any question, you can just post it on the Q&A section. I'll be happy to answer you.
So it looks like we don't have any more questions. Thank you so much to all the attendees for making time and attending the session. And Mohan, thank you. As always, you delivered a brilliant session. And I hope all of you have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining.